the thing is, there is not a silver bullet. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite business podcasts, the host, and say that there's not a silver bullet. There's 100 golden BBs. Like there's like 100 little things that you have to do along the way that help drive that success. It's not just one thing.
All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business. Hey, it's Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Today, I get to interview Cheryl Luckett. She's the founder of Dwell by Cheryl Interiors, and she is a pretty big deal in the interior design industry. She creates classic and colorful spaces, cozy homes that clients never want to leave. And she tells us in the episode today her story back starting in 2012, how she built her interior design firm. This episode is one not to be missed because Cheryl is going to share with you how she made the leap from corporate to running her own design business. And it's not like any other story I have heard. So you're going to want to listen and definitely hang out with us until the end when Cheryl gives some really sage advice on what you need to do to make the needle move in your business. This is a really great conversation, especially for someone who's maybe feeling frustrated or feeling like, oh, I haven't made it yet, or what's the answer, or somebody tell me what I need to do. Cheryl has the answer for you here. This is such an inspirational episode. Cheryl also, in addition to designing for clients, Cheryl's a big deal. She partners with top brands, she creates product lines, and she has been featured in national publications. She's recognized with numerous awards, and she continues to share her love for design through her work and collaborations. We talk in this episode about her product line with Wildwood. She's located in Charlotte, North Carolina, so she goes to High Point Market all the time. She shares it all in this episode. All right, enough from me. Let's go into the episode so you can hear from Cheryl herself. Welcome to Resilient by Design, Cheryl. I'm excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for having me.
And we were just joking offline. If you're not watching us on YouTube, we are both wearing stripes today. We're matching. You're in pink and I'm in blue. I love it. So let's just dive right in. I want to hear all the things about your business. You're in Charlotte, North Carolina, really close to High Point Market. So you've got so much at your fingertips. I'm sure a lot of designers are like, oh, that's so amazing. But you weren't always an interior designer.
No.
And I want to talk about this transition from, full-time, whatever it is, to then taking that leap of faith to launch a design business. I know a lot of designers listening to this episode are in that position right now where they want to start a design firm, or maybe they're doing a little bit on the side, for friends and family, and they're nervous and scared to take that leap. I want to hear your story. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, I feel like, just as in design, context is everything. So I'm gonna roll it back kind of to who I am and where I came from, because I feel like that context is important. So I'm a big time bona fide Southern girl. I grew up in South Mississippi to educator parents, type A kid. Obviously, we were pretty driven because they had high expectations of us. So, like a good student that I left high school, went to college. My dad was actually my middle school principal. My mom was a high school guidance counselor. So again, they were all up in the sauce when it came to our.
They were in your business. There was no getting away with anything. I love it.
So at my mom's direction, in trying to pick a major in college, she kind of steered me. She hates when I say this, but she really steered me toward healthcare because it was the hot area, especially allied health at that time was really big. And so I ended up in college majoring in nutrition. So I went through the program for dietetics. I ended up coming out of college, did a postgraduate internship, became a registered dietitian. Worked at a local health department as my first job. It was great. I was helping people eat better, all the things. I liked it. I was good at it, but it wasn't my passion. Okay. So
Mhm.
I left that job at the health department and I went to a large local company who was seeking a dietitian in my area, Fortune 500 in food service. Okay, so I took this kind of a dream job at the time for a registered dietitian in school nutrition, and so it was a time when school lunches were trying to get healthier, and so I was a part of that at a large corporation. Love the company, love the job, love the travel. I was the South region dietitian, so I was on airplanes, and I had my Palm Pilot. I'm dating myself. You
I
know,
love it.
I'm
Those were,
I'm
hold on a second. A Palm Pilot, for those who don't know, was super cool. It was like a large cell phone that had a little pen, right? And you could like tap things and write
oh
on
yeah,
it. I mean, it was like
yeah.
before, it was ahead of its time.
Yeah, and then we graduated from the Palm Pilot to the BlackBerry. Anyway, so
Yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
it was a lovely time. So I'm in the airports, wheeling my computer bag, and I'm making things happen in my 20s in child nutrition. I do that for like a decade. Like the job evolves, and I kind of grow in the position. It gets bigger and more important. So I'm getting growth opportunities, but all the while it's just not in my heart, and I don't know if you know this, but that's also one of those career paths where people who are in it are very passionate about it. And so I always felt like I was faking it. And
Oh.
so I'm in my 20s. I started at that job about 25. It's now I'm 35, and I'm like, I've been faking it all along. Doing a great job. But
They do
really,
say fake it till you make it.
yes, they
You're
do.
proof. You're
They
proof it
do.
works.
So I'm getting a little older, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what do I want to be when I grow up. And I'm like, I don't know that I can do this much longer. So I ended up pivoting within the company to get off the road. Obviously I've been traveling for a lot. I'm like, I need to slow it down. It's time for me to kind of start taking care of me. So I come off the road, I take a corporate position at this very large company. I pivot to HR, which is a bit of a significant pivot, but I had been at this
Wow,
company for
yeah.
10 years. I pivot into HR as the head of diversity and inclusion. And so I'm working in this very corporate job. I'm off the road, and now I've got free time. I've also at the same time bought my first single family home. So I've got a yard, and I'm gardening, and I'm hosting, and I'm like, "Oh, what is it? Like, this is awesome actually." But I've got all this extra time in the evenings. And so I'm like, what am I gonna do with myself? I'm used to being at the airport and a hotel. So I decide that I've always had a love for design. I decide I'll take a little class at the junior college. Just, I mean, what, like, it'll be fun, right? At night. So I go there, and I'm in this course. I meet this girl who's like, at this time, I'm probably about 30, yeah, 30, around 35. I meet this girl who is fresh out of high school. We become fast friends, and she tells me I should start a blog, and the rest is really history.
Ooh,
So I start a blog
interesting.
at her prompting, and I started chronicling all of these things that I'm doing at home. I'm a type A, been working in the business world. So I'm like, oh well, I need a domain, I need a name, I need to register the name. Now I need a blog designer. Like I can't just go throwing up some hot mess stuff. So I do all the things. And I start blogging 2, 3 times a week. I make all of my friends sign up for the blog. I make everybody at the church sign up for the blog. And so I'm blogging and they're reading. And it's not long before they start calling. So they're calling, and I'm a businesswoman at this point, and I'm like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm not coming to your house for free. So here's how this is going to work. So I'm putting together a process, right? And I'm
Wow.
going over to Reverend so and so's house to decorate the formal dining room, and I'm charging for it. I'm telling them how it will go. I'm hiring an amateur photographer. I'm photographing it and I'm putting it on the blog. And the cycle continues. Before I know it, the cycle is outside of my circle of influence and random people are calling me.
That's
So,
the best. That's the
yes,
best. That's what everybody
me.
wants. Everybody wants strangers calling them, which is such a weird thing to say, but it's amazing. Hold on, hold on. I just want to say one thing that for those listening, I love that from the very beginning, you charged for your services. There are a
Mhm.
lot of people right now listening to this episode who are still not charging.
Yes, I
And you
know.
were doing this on the side, right?
Yes,
Was this your full
100%.
time gig? No, you were still
No,
fully employed.
oh, 100%. Like at a
Okay.
real big girl job. Like,
So
yeah,
it was a hobby in a way, but
yes,
you were getting paid for it. So designers listening, listen up. Okay, keep
yes.
going. I love this.
And that is definitely who I am. Again, remember context. I'm type A. Like I don't have to do anything. I'm going all in and I kind of know my value. But I'm also not a kid at this point either. So
Right.
I might know enough to be dangerous in design, but I do know that I know more than the person that I'm serving. So there's value in that. So I'm charging again. This is not, I'm not trying to make any money. I have a direct deposit in a middle management job at a Fortune 500. Like I'm doing good. I don't need the this is just about me flexing this design muscle and seeing what happens. Now, at this point, I have no intentions of going anywhere. Like, I got stock bonus, I got seniority, vacation, 401, all the things. There's no end.
The American dream. That's
Yes,
the American dream.
right. So, meanwhile, I'm in the first class at night school, then I'm in the second class. Then I'm like, well, I mean, what's next? Okay, yeah, sure, I'll take drafting. Okay, what's next? Okay, yeah, art history sounds great. Like, so I'm just chipping away. Well, I get about 2 years in. Now I got strangers. I got a profile on house. I'm showing up on the first page in Charlotte. I'm telling people on the phone, like, I have a full-time job. So I've got a list of people who are waiting. I'm happy to put you on it, but it's gonna be a while. They're like, okay, yeah, great, put us on it. So this is
Oh my God,
snowballing.
Cheryl. This is
And
amazing.
now this
I
is why
love this
I think I
story.
have to back all the way up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so 2 years in, 2 years in, and I'm like, oh crap, this is like, I really love doing this. I have no free time. I'm studying for class at night because, I got to make A's. Um, I'm going to work. I'm doing all the things. I'm writing a blog. I'm doing client projects on nights and
Oh
weekends.
my God.
And I'm like, what am I doing? So I get to this point where I'm like, I got to decide. Oh, meanwhile, I'm being tapped on the shoulder for opportunities to advance my career at work. So I'm like, okay, I need to go on a vacation and I got to figure out what I'm doing. Am I climbing this corporate ladder or do I need to actually think about the possibility of pivoting? So this was a big deal for me. I'm a single girl, like I got a mortgage, I got student loans for a career I've now pivoted from. Like this is not a joke.
Wow.
So I really take some time. I literally was on a cruise and I'm like, I gotta like pros and cons list, the whole thing. I come to this point where I'm like, it's internally, it's in me. Like I'm a Christian, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm praying about it. I'm being led to like, this is not the way. It's if you stay at corporate, you'll probably be okay, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna, the satisfaction is going to continue
Mm-hmm.
to dwindle.
It's that calling, it's that intuition, it's whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Yeah.
It's really listening. And I love that you went on a cruise and you took your time. And yeah, you're doing the pros and cons list, but really ultimately, it sounds like it wasn't what was on paper that helped you make the decision. It was what was in your heart.
Internal.
And it's
Yep.
like when you slow down enough to
Yep.
just listen to your body,
Yep.
you know
Yeah.
the answer. And we don't do that enough. We don't slow down. I love that you were like, I need to get away from everything so I
Yep.
get perspective. I need to slow down on this trip and
Yep.
then I need to really make. And did you make the decision on that trip?
There and then it was confirmed after that. Like I definitely was leaning
Got it.
the list was it was the risk. I had to get clarity on what is holding me back. Like really. You
Mm,
don't love being at this company. Like yeah, great, it pays the bills and people they like you and you do a good job, but you love this other thing. Like you would do it if nobody paid you to do it.
mm,
What is it that's holding you back? And so when I started to peel back that's really what happened, getting clarity on what was really beneath the surface. Because you're right, I knew. I was like, I'm good at this. Like
hmm.
everybody that came over for all my little house parties was like, oh my God, you should be doing this for a living. I would blow it off, but
Right.
I knew internally. And so I got clarity on what is the holdup, like what's stopping you. And for
Mm.
me, it was the perceived security. And so I'm like, okay,
Ooh,
how do
perceived security. Say that
Mhm.
again for the cheap seats in the back,
It
right?
was the perceived security of this corporate job, right? I had come up during a time to baby boomer parents, who were let me just call a spade, African Americans in South Mississippi, who were the benefactors of times that didn't allow for a lot of opportunity. And so I grew up in that context. They're like, okay, you go, you take every opportunity that you can get, you do a good job, and you get rewarded. And so I was in that cycle, and it was secure. That was their security. And
Hmm.
so they taught me to value that.
Right.
But again, it wasn't until later that I left that I realized it was perceived security. At the
Oh,
time,
I love
I'm
this.
doing
I've
the
got
pros
like,
and cons
Cheryl, I
list.
have goosebumps right now because I'm like, this is such a powerful conversation because so many designers, so many women are in these positions where you're like, well, I'm doing what I should be doing.
Mhm.
This is what I've been told to do. This is where I have the money. And if I just put in a few more years, then I'll retire, or at least I'll have this nest egg, or I'll have da da da. But it's not fulfilling them.
Yep.
And what we're
Yep.
learning from you today is just because you have that doesn't mean you can't pivot. You
Yep.
can't follow your heart because we have this one life to live.
Yep. And we really are going in a different
I know,
direction.
I love to go deep. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm
I
all
love it.
in.
I love it. I'm here for it. And you know what else? The other thing I want to say is I'm not discounting that 15 years that I spent in corporate, because that absolutely impacted who I am as a designer and how I show up and how I run my business. You wouldn't be calling me to be on your podcast if I didn't have that background, because that informed everything from that point on. So there was value in that. But I think to ignore, when I started getting that feeling and those signs that it's time to move on, if I had
Mm,
ignored that, I would have missed
right.
everything that followed after that.
Right.
So I'm not discounting, like, it's all useful. You just have to pay attention. You have to pay
Hmm.
attention to when it's
Totally.
time to, like, when the cloud moves, move with the cloud. Like,
I love it. I love it. It's so true. It's like, don't ignore the signs. Like, the universe, God, whatever you look up to, whatever
yeah,
you believe in, there are signs when it's time. And
yes,
oftentimes we're so caught up in our day to
yep,
day and running, running, running. And this doesn't just apply to careers. This can
yep,
apply to so many other areas of life. Um, you got to keep moving. Otherwise, you're going to get really stuck. And then you're going to really feel like you've missed the boat, or not even know where you need to go
yeah.
next. So it's
Okay,
being
so here's the juicy
attuned.
part. So I'm
Okay.
2 years in. I'm 2 years in. I've had this crisis, and I'm trying to figure out whether I should make this pivot. And I realize that it's the perceived security that's keeping me stuck, for lack of a better term. And so I start peeling back the layers, and I'm like, if I could create some sort of security on this side, I would probably be willing to make the leap. So
Mm,
I knew that number one, the biggest obstacle was finances. So I said, I got to get my house in order. Like, I got to figure out what would it take for me to feel comfortable. So the first thing I did was I hired a financial planner. Well, let me back up.
oh, okay. Yeah. I want to hear
Just a
about
minute.
this.
The- So so I decided that what I needed was time. I identified three areas that needed some work before I could make a leap of any kind. And I decided a time frame that it would probably take to get all of those things done. And that was 3 years, which sounds crazy because now these days people just leap, but I'm not that girl. So, I'm 2 years into design business on the side. I've got, like, a lot at stake. I'm like, what would it take and how long would it take? In my mind, 3 years came up. I'm like, 3 years. Okay, that's a long time. 36 months. Like, I could really, you know, pay down some debt, pay off some bills, save some money, go to some conferences, meet some people, level everything up. Like, I had this list in my head. So I decided 3 years, that's it. I think I can do this. Let's January 1st was right around the corner. So on January 1st, I said, this is it. 3 years from this day, I'm leaving. I called it Project 36. It was my 36-month exit strategy from corporate America. So the first thing I did that January is I hired a financial planner. I went to her. I said, here's who I am. Here's what I make. Here's who I owe. I'd like to leave my job in 36 months. And she said, let's go. She was like, all right,
Love
I
it.
need you to start here every month. I need you to do this and this. Okay, every quarter, I need you to do this. Then we're going to move this over here. Like she literally, she had a
Whoa.
36-month plan that coincided with mine. Meanwhile, I'm taking class every semester, knock another class off, knock another class off, knock another class off. On the back and the business side, I'm like, okay, great, this blog thing is cute, but I need a real website if I'm going to be leaving my job, in the next 36 months. So hired a web designer. I started, doing better photography. I started migrating things off of the blog onto a legitimate website. I hired a graphic designer to do forms and make my stuff look branded. Like I knew what to do. I worked at a big company.
Yeah.
That's what we did, right? um so I started putting all of this in place, and before I knew it, it was 24 months. Before I knew it, it was 18 months. Now I've striked off 4 more classes on that class list, and as I'm getting closer to like the 12-month, I'm realizing how things are aligning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have 2 more classes left. Just like just 12, like I'm gonna finish at the end of this 36 months. And I'll have this degree thing in interior design. And then my boss was retiring on my timeline. We left at the same, like it was just so many things that were
Wow.
confirmation. Um,
Wow.
so at the end of this 36-month stretch, literally on December 30th, 2016. Now remember, I started on January 1st, 3 years prior. On December 30th, which was a Friday, I walked out with my box of stuff from the company that I worked at
I
for
love it.
15 years, filmed a slow motion video of me jumping up outside of the corporate office, and I show it every December 30th on social media because I that whole time I had been showing up on social every day, and telling people about this journey. So I had a lot of people who were invested in this move.
Mm.
So that
So wait a
kind
second. You were telling people on social that you were leaving your job?
of I
And
did
did your
not tell,
people who
I
you
didn't
worked for know that? Were they
okay,
okay
so
with
I
that?
didn't tell them that I was leaving until I put in my notice, but I did give a 3-month notice.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So, but they knew I was side hustling. They knew I had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
day job, and they knew was in school, and I shared all of that. So when I
Okay.
said I was quitting, they were all like, "Yay!"
Oh, cute. Oh my God. Okay, hold on a second. I just want to say, like, way to go. What an
Thank
inspiration
you.
you are because you can't, I didn't realize how intentional that transition was for you. And I love that because people listening, I know there's designers listening who are like, I'm not ready to just jump. Like you said, some
Yep.
people nowadays, they're just like, screw it, give in my notice and I'm starting a
Mhm.
business. And then they're, oh
Mhm.
my God, what do I do? You don't
Mhm.
have to do it that way. You don't have to
Mm-mm.
be reactive. You can do it in the way that Cheryl, you've done it, where maybe it's 1 year, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3 years, whatever's more comfortable for you. And I love how intentional you were. And I love
Yep.
that you said 3 years and it took 3 years.
Yep.
It didn't take
Yep.
4. It
Yep.
didn't take 3 years and 2 months. Like
Yep.
that says a lot about your personality and how driven you are and how dedicated you are. I think it's quite inspirational, actually.
Well, thank you. I picked those 3 years because it was reasonable, but it also held me accountable. Like I knew this could
Mhm.
be 4 years, this could be 5, this could go on forever. But that 3 years, putting it out there, held me accountable for making that happen. And let me tell you, I knew what would happen as well. I knew that I was good enough at my job that they were going to ask me to stay, and they did. And
Right.
having that, like having had a 36-month lead up to it, made me all the more committed to being like, no, I appreciate it, but I gotta go. Like,
Yeah.
it's because that's the lure sometimes. Like, this
Yeah.
is my security. And they're like, well, could we work something out? Maybe you could do I've been doing like 36 months is a long time
Yeah.
to not do what you said you were gonna do.
Good for
So
you.
it held me accountable too.
I love that. I love that. Wow. So many people listening are like light bulbs exploding in their brains right now because I know, and I've already made the transition, but I'm just freaking loving this. I'm already thinking in my own life, like, okay, what like longer term deadline? Because 3 years kind of sounds like a lot, to be
Mhm.
honest,
Mhm.
especially when we know we want something. A lot of us are so impatient, especially entrepreneurs. So it's like, well, I don't want to wait 3 years, but actually 3 years maybe gives you the amount, or 2 years gives you the amount of time to actually line up all those ducks in a row.
Yeah. Well, and it depends. I had a lot of fear that 3 years gave me time to deal with that.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by the time I made the leap, there was no fear left. Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh heck no, I got this. Like
This thing's
you know,
happening.
I've got people
Yeah.
I've hired that made sure that I got this. So that
Yeah.
fear dissipated over those months. I needed that time. It wasn't
Mhm.
that, I had to like it just was what I needed to feel comfortable in making this really big life-changing
So
alteration.
I want to talk about social media because you mentioned that you showed up every day throughout this whole transition and you had a lot of people rooting for you.
Mhm.
And, and how did that translate into work? Did you find that social media was the main driver for bringing in those stranger clients? Let's
Yes.
talk about how you found your clients because I know everyone who starts a business gets worried about where am I going to find the clients?
Yeah. So times are different now. Now keep in mind, my blog launched on January 1st, 2012. Clearly, I like pomp and circumstance. So there's a lot of like alignment of dates and So
I
I
love
started
it.
my blog on January 1st, 2012. Okay, so
Yeah.
that was the
It's a
time when
different time.
blogging was
Yeah.
hot, right? Social media, we weren't really using bit social media for businesses at that time, but shortly thereafter we started to. So
Mhm.
we started on Twitter, and I was there when all the designers, migrated over to Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, pictures, right?
Pretty
So
things. Yeah.
yes. So it was a different time. And yes, 100%, all of my clients in the very beginning, outside of that, circle of influence that I started with, all of them came from social media.
Wow.
And it was just a time when that's how we were following people, we were pinning things and you were looking for local professionals. It's also the time that House came around and I was,
Yep.
taking pictures at Reverend so and so's house and putting them on House and having photo shoots in my own house and putting them on House. And then I was an early adopter. And so all of those things fed to my business. But I was intentional in that as well, in showing up in a way that it didn't feel like a side hustle. There were lots of people who were following me that hadn't, that didn't know that I didn't do this full time because I tried to show
Mhm.
up like I did. And that
Right.
was
So if
being
somebody was
consistent.
following you, if they were following you on Instagram, let's say at that time, did they know that you also worked corporate or no?
I talked about it. So if they paid attention and
Okay.
listened, like, but some people are just, popping in and out. I don't think
Sure.
my profile said that this was a side hustle. I, certainly would show myself, doing my design projects and, I might show myself doing a training at work or something. So people who were like faithful fans knew.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when I say I showed up as if it weren't a side hustle, I wasn't popping in on social media. I had a strategy. Like I would decide, and this is again when we use Instagram a little bit differently. It was Instagram, instant.
Mhm.
Like it was,
Yeah.
here's what I'm eating for lunch, and here's where I am right now. And it was way less polished and curated
Yeah. I
than
miss
it is
those days.
today.
Those were great days. I
I
loved
know,
Instagram back
me
then.
too.
Just
So
showing
I
up
used
on
to,
stories, doing whatever.
yes, I used to
Yeah.
have to give some thought before I went to work. I would post before I went to work. I would pick a post for my lunchtime post, and then I would post in the evenings. And I did that every day for years.
Wow.
So it
Wow.
just made it look like, oh, this girl is really like she's into the design. She's clearly doing like she knows what she's talking about. She's showing up every day. It wasn't a casual thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So people were like, they're like, here's this legit designer. She knows what she's doing. Let's call her.
Yep. And you know what else I did? I invested. This is one of the part that was part of the 3-year strategy. I knew that my current job could finance my side hustle. And so I invested early. I remember being at the second design bloggers conference with all the now huge designers before they were huge. I met
Right.
all of them very early on. I flew to LA not knowing a single soul, taking my PTO, met all these people who are friends today. Like I immersed myself in a community that I wasn't
Mm,
in fully at the time.
mm,
And that kind of inspired me. I was able to like glean so much from just being in the atmosphere with these people that I aspired to be like. Um, and that was valuable too. I didn't wait until I was a full-time designer to go to the design conference. I took PTO to go to
mm,
High Point Market, to sit at
right.
the panel discussions and learn the things and meet the people. I wasn't really buying products for a while. So
I
I
actually
feel
really thank you for sharing that. I actually think that's really important that you share that because I get designers asking all the time, "Oh, well, is High Point Market worth it or any of these design conferences worth it? Like I don't have a project I need to source for. I don't think I'm there yet." And there's this hesitation. I'm not going to go or do it, but what I'm hearing from you is actually yes, go.
oh,
Invest in the time. You're not necessarily buying, but you're connecting, you're getting inspired and you're seeing product. And I wholeheartedly agree. When I started going to High Point, like I'm in Canada. And I'm like, I
mhm,
can't order all these American products. There's duties, there's all this. And now
mhm,
it's even worse, right? Tariffs and all
yeah,
that jazz.
yeah,
But I went because I started to learn the names of the different companies. I would meet other designers, get inspired by talks that I would like. There's something about, you're right, immersing yourself in the world. If you intend to be in that world, like, why wait?
yep, yep.
Yeah, I
And
love that.
when I launched my collection with Wildwood High Point Market, I told the story of the first time that I went in that showroom and I walked around and I was like, "Oh wow, this stuff is beautiful. One day I hope to source some of these lamps for my projects." And to come like that was when I was the moment I went in that showroom, I was still working full time. So to have that come full circle, to have a collection
Wow.
in that same showroom that I walked through thinking one day I'm going to buy some of these lamps. Not one day I'm going to make some of these lamps.
People are
Like
going to be buying my
my
designs.
lamps.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
so
it's
cool.
crazy. It's crazy.
That is so cool. Full circle moment. So, okay, so you're growing your business. Instagram's super helpful. What is like has that stayed the same? Are you still would you say that most of your clients come from Instagram? Is that really the heart of your business or have things shifted?
Things have definitely shifted. However, while most of my clients don't come from Instagram, most of my clients come from my digital footprint, which a lot of
Ooh,
is
that's a great way to
Instagram.
describe it. Okay,
So,
talk to me about this. People are
okay.
listening are like, if you guys are multitasking right now, come back to us. This is good.
So this is why it all matters consistency. So many races you can win just by staying in the game.
Oh my God, that is the quote of the year. I love that.
It's
Yes.
so true though. People fall off, like they quit, they bounce in and out, they do it for a little while, they fall off. If
Yeah.
you can stay consistent, you could just win by default a lot of times. So again,
I love that.
I've got a lot of history with this. Like I started this 2012. So it's 2025.
Yep. Yep.
That's how long I've been showing up in the digital space in design. So all of that content, every blog post, every can you
Yeah.
tell us what the trends of the year are? Can you comment on this? Post this on Instagram, do this video for us, be on this podcast. All of that content is available on the on the World Wide
Yep.
Web, as my mom
Yep.
would say.
Yep.
And so when someone Googles interior designers in Charlotte, best interior designer in Charlotte, black interior designer in Charlotte, all of that content that I've had swirling around out there for since 2012 bumps me up. And yes, do
Mm-hmm.
they is the first one of the first things they see probably something I posted recently on Instagram? Yes. Do they click on it and go over there? Yes. Do they watch the Sunday sit down that I just posted last Sunday? Yes. And so all of that doesn't mean that they found me while they were scrolling. I don't have clients any longer who
Mm-hmm.
scroll
Yeah.
for inspiration. My clients are not design enthusiasts, but they do validate me on Instagram. They get a sense of what I do, who I serve, who I am because I try and show up and show my personality. I'm not for everybody, but you can glean all of that from the digital footprint that I've left and been
I love
consistent.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is something I talk about a lot with designers because there's this sort of like, oh, do I need to show up on Instagram? It feels like an extra lift. Do I need to hire someone? It's like, well, I think personal relationships are really where you're going to build your clientele and you need to get out there. And it's become so digital. I do think being in person is so important, but there's
Yep.
something to be said about what you called it, the digital footprint.
Yep.
And I know I've shared here before, but earlier this year, I had a client reach out to me, like a new potential client who when I had the call with him, I said, "Oh, how did you find us?" And he started to laugh and he said, "Chat GPT." And
Mhm,
I was
mhm,
like, "What?" And after having conversations with Darla Powell of Wing That Social and,
mhm,
and saying, like, how
mhm,
does this thing work?
mhm.
Basically the idea is that, well, I've been around on the internet now for a decade plus, and all of that adds up to credentials, if you will, that
Yep,
in the internet world, they're like, well, this person's their name shows up 50 times versus the person who over there whose name shows up twice. So we're going to bump that person above. And ultimately they do their research. Then they look into my style, they figure that out, and then they can narrow down who they want to hire. But I think that
yep.
digital footprint, like you said, that is a really powerful reminder that it still matters to have
Mhm.
a presence online.
All of it matters.
You
Yep,
don't need to be an influencer per
yep,
se, but I do
yep.
think it's important to show up. You need the website. Do you need a blog? I mean, the more you do, it's a long-term game. It's like compound
It is.
interest, right?
It is.
It's not
Yep,
instant. It's not like, oh, I got featured in that magazine. Now everyone's
yep.
calling me. That's not really
No,
how it works in my experience.
it's mine either. Not
Totally.
mine either. But it does, it's compounds, and don't think I haven't chat GPT those same searches. And you're exactly right. It is a Google shortcut, with a little bit more context. And
Yeah,
it's so important. And
so
will
important.
continue to be important as we move forward and all of this stuff progresses.
Yeah. So what would you say, as we wrap up our time together, what would you say is like what's one thing that you've changed in your business to really move the needle forward?
Times I've seen a lot now. I've been through the boom. I've been through the democratization of design when people who didn't have designers now know that that's a possibility. I've been through COVID.
Yeah.
Now I'm going through the tariff stuff, and I've also I've shifted my focus over that time. I started out as a budget designer. I had collaborations with Goodwill and Habitat Restore and all of those things, and that has shifted over time. But I would say that one of the things that I've done recently to kind of pivot again, at least internally, is to get back to in-person networking. And that's
Mm,
something that I kind of resisted for a number of reasons. I came from the corporate space. That's all we do is in-person networking. And so when I left, I was really fatigued with the whole, you know,
right.
smoozing and cocktail hour. And
Yeah, it's
I
like,
think I was
oh,
like, I'm
how
out.
much small
Bye.
talk can one person
Yeah.
make? I get it. Yeah.
Yep. And it's not, I'm an extrovert, so I didn't have a problem, but I just was like, there's gotta be another way. So I really leaned into digital networking, which paid dividends in a million ways. But post COVID, I feel like there's something happened where I think we yearn for a little bit more of that personal connection. And I also at the same time started to shift my business to be a little bit more construction new build heavy. And in that realm, you really need personal relationships with tradespeople. And those are not people you're bumping into on social media. Like
Mm,
that you can't, like, you can meet a designer and have a whole full-fledged relationship on
totally.
Instagram, but it's hard to do that with the GC. Like they're not doing that stuff.
They're
Like,
busy on site. Like they're not sitting there doing, yeah,
they're
yeah.
not looking at my photos. So I really leaned into in-person networking, asking around about groups that would be serving my clientele, joining some of those groups, getting involved. I started how I was like, here we go. I guess I'm in my coffee meeting era again. and nothing more than I hate than a coffee meeting. But I got like I had a couple of months where that's all I did was drink coffee, like me all over the city. And that those have now, it's a long game. Because it takes a
Yep.
while to have the coffee, follow up, send some cookies for the 4th of July,
That's a great idea.
all of those things take time, but now probably 8 to 12 months later, now they're in my inbox. Now they're, hey, Cheryl, I got a client that, so I've started laying some groundwork about 18 months ago, knowing that there's a shift happening. I need to lean into like making some relationships with people. Not
Mm,
not just for business referrals, but also so I can feel comfortable referring people who might be coming to me, uh,
yeah, I love that.
yeah, landing in my inbox saying, "Hey, do you know a good builder? We're building a new home," or gee, we need to blow up the interest rates suck and we're going to be staying here, so we need a major
Right.
renovation. Like, do you know somebody? And I hated it for years. I was like, I'm sorry, I can help you vet some, but because I just wasn't investing in the time to
Mm,
get to know the people who were doing comparable work, work at my standard in their trade. And so I've shifted
interesting.
that. Yep.
So you spent the time, and I love this, you spent the time really investing in relationships with potential partners. So when
Hmm.
you say coffee meetings, you're saying like builders,
Hmm.
GCs, people in the trades, so
Yep.
that they actually know who you are as opposed to, yeah, I've seen that she's done beautiful work, but I can't vouch
Yeah.
for her because I don't really know her. I think that's
Exactly right.
really, really great lesson for those listening too. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to swear for a second, but like this shit doesn't just land in your lap, people. It's not like, ooh, look at Cheryl. She has a line. She's a big deal. Obviously, projects come to her. No, everyone, no matter who you are, is putting in the legwork, especially when you're trying to level up, especially
Yeah.
when you want to get to the next level of projects. And I think I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really powerful. It's certainly something that I think many of us think we should do, but then we get busy, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, I should probably reach out to that person. And I don't know if it's
Hmm.
the post pandemic where I've even felt it, even as an outgoing person, I feel like I want the in person, but I'm more hesitant to make the phone call. I'm more hesitant to set up the meeting. And I don't know what it is. It's funny.
Yeah.
But you're proof that we just got to do it.
Yeah. And joining an organization makes that easier. Cold calling is hard. Like nobody wants to cold call somebody.
Yeah.
It's a hard set. Yes, it's important and it works if you are diligent with it. But I
Mm,
feel like joining an organization where that's what that organization is really about, is so that you can network with other people who are support, whether that's the builders association in your area, or the National Association of Renovators, or whatever. There's all
yeah.
kinds of trade organizations. Even just going to the meeting, right? They have networking hour. That's what everybody is there doing,
Yeah.
the same thing. So
Yeah.
it kind of takes the weirdness away, and then it allows you an opportunity to follow up with someone that you met, and then it's not a cold call.
I love it. Yeah. And then what I'm hearing, this sort of through line in our conversation today, is it's a long game. Stick with it. Things
Mhm.
don't happen overnight. There's no such thing as an overnight success, right?
Yep.
There's so much that's happened behind the scenes that you don't see. And I think that's a really great reminder for anyone, especially if there's a designer right now who's feeling, oh, like it's just they feel like things aren't taking off or things were slow over the summer. And like, why hasn't it picked up yet? Because there's always going to be someone in that position. This is your reminder to just keep going.
Yep. Yep. And you can't be a business owner for any length of the time and think that it's always going to be sunny days. I mean, like, hello. Like, that's just not how it works. Things
Yep.
ebb and flow. That is nature.
Ain't
Like,
that the truth? And just because things get slow or you get frustrated doesn't mean you need to throw in the towel. I think too
no.
is
Yeah.
right? Like that
Yeah.
this is for those listening who are feeling frustrated. I get designers all the time who are like, I don't even know if this is industry still for me, like I don't have clients or this or that, the other. It's you got to follow your heart, but also there are going to be highs and there's going to be lows. It's cyclical. Every business has cycles and they're often out of our
Absolutely.
control. There's things going on in the world we cannot
Yep.
control. It's how we
Yep.
manage and how we respond to those
Yep.
external factors. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to hear your last nugget of wisdom. I know you've shared so much wisdom today, and I know designers are going to love this episode. But what would be a last nugget of wisdom that you could leave us with today, Cheryl?
Oh gosh. Let's see, where do I want to go? I think that one of the things I find a lot with designers who approach me, wanting me to mentor them or meet them for coffee, is I think everybody is looking for the silver bullet. Like, what is the
Yeah.
thing that I need to know to do to be successful? The thing is, there is not a silver bullet. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite business podcasts, the host, and say that there's not a silver bullet. There's 100 golden BBs. Like there's like 100 little things that you have to do along the way that help drive that success. It's not just
Mm,
one thing. It's the showing up consistently. It's the going to the meeting and networking. It's the following up with the guy who you met and that you stood next to at the meeting. It's the following up after your coffee and saying it was so nice to meet you. Here's a packet of what my services are. It's the it's the giving the clients a good experience. It's asking for a referral. It's the asking
yeah.
for like there's no one silver bullet. You kind of have to do all of the things. And if you do those consistently over time, the needle will move. The flow
Mm,
will come. Like it's just staying in the game. Like
I
I
love
wish I
that.
could make it simple, but it's not. It's just not.
But that is great. Like I mean, some people might be discouraged by that advice, but actually I find it very encouraging
Yes.
because we're always waiting. Like, what is the one thing everybody wants to know? What's the one thing you do to get your clients? There isn't one thing. There's no
There's
silver
not one
bullet.
thing. No.
I love that. Keep doing what you're doing. Take
Yeah.
Cheryl's advice.
Don't
These are
quit. That's the
don't
that's the
quit.
final word. Don't quit.
Oh, this has been such a great conversation, Cheryl. I'm so excited for everyone to listen to this. And I'm excited to come check out your collection at Wildwood. I've
Yes,
heard
do.
amazing things. So I'll be at High Point in the spring and I'm going to definitely check it out.
Yeah,
Um, and
do.
before we go, though, where can everyone find and follow you?
You can find me on all the platforms at Dwell by Cheryl. Uh, my website, dwellbycheryl.com. Show up on Instagram daily. And yes, I still do my own Instagram.
So everyone's going to be heading over right now to see what you've done. They're like, what is she doing? I need to do what she's doing. I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to chat with us. It's been really great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that was amazing. Cheryl, thank you. Wow. Like, isn't she such an inspiration? What I loved about that conversation was just the reaffirming that keep doing what you're doing. If you know where you want to be, don't give up. Keep going. Set a game plan. Pivot. After we stopped recording, she and I were talking about how the industry where she is has changed, is moving more into construction, a little bit less in the decorating. So she's like moving into that realm, right? Doing more of the new builds, learning more about those products. And I think there's something to be said for when you run your own business, you're always growing, you're always learning, and you're always going to be changing. And so we need to kind of embrace that, roll with the punches. And I hope that for anyone listening, if you're feeling discouraged or you're feeling like, oh my God, I just haven't hit it yet, or things felt like they were going great and now they're not, I hope this episode is there to remind you that keep going, that you've got this. Because Cheryl is proof that when you want to go for it, you put in your time and you're going to get there. So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Hop on over to iTunes, Spotify, leave us a review. I would love to know how you're enjoying the podcast. The more reviews we get, the more people that will know we exist and come and listen to these incredible guests that we have here on Resilient by Design. All right, that's it. I'll see you soon.